or insert me into a place, because anybody could benefit from this training. It's an hour long and it's free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. I also am not trying to sell anybody anything either. Right? If you're on time, you're late, but if you're early, you're on time.
It's respectful,
but also at the same time, yes, it's respecting people's time.
For sure.
Time is currency. That's one thing you can get back. But that's just a
Here's another episode of the Let's Get Comfy podcast. I have the wonderful Miss Brianne Brown with me today. And as always, I always allow our guests to introduce themselves. But I want to give her a round of applause for joining the platform. It's Sunday today, and she came after church. I did go to church too, right? Did go to church too, Miss Brown.
I did.
Thank you for joining me, Miss Brown. Yes, ma'am. So, Miss Brown, for our comfy listeners out there, if you would please tell them who you are.
So my name is Brianne Brown. Let's get a little personal. So I'm originally from Florida. I was born and raised in Ocala. I left for the military at 21, turned 22 in boot camp, traveled overseas, came back stateside. So I am an Air Force veteran. And now as my primary role, once I transition out, I started volunteering with the Veterans Treatment Corps, Mentor Corps in the greater Tampa Bay area. So for military veterans, transition is not secular, right? So it looked very different. My job in the military was logistics. I had just gotten a master's degree in criminal justice, and then I ended up in suicide prevention. So if that doesn't go to show you, right, your path and your journey afterwards, and just kind of finding where you fit in that space is very different. However, so I have been in the nonprofit space for the last 5 years. Doing veteran suicide prevention and being in that arena. That's how I continue to serve. And it's definitely a calling. So when you answer the call, you become equipped and do the work.
Do the work,
man.
And that's one thing that she has been doing. Ms. Brown has been doing the work. And I know she's honorably served 8 years in the United Air Force, both active duty and reserved. She since transitioning out of the military, she became a leader for the nonprofit sector, as she's indicated as well. And we appreciate her work. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of veterans out there that know Miss Brown. But for our comfy listeners, if you don't know, now you know. All right. So through her work, she has helped hundreds of veterans and service members find their purpose and build resilience. Now she's serving as the Central Florida Regional Program Director for the Fire Watch. Ms. Brandon spearheads veteran advocacy and life-saving training to empower community members to connect veterans with the help they need before they reach a crisis point. And that's what she specializes in. Her mission, clear mission, to lift the fallen, restore the broken, and heal the hurting.
Right there.
Heal the hurting. Right there in the heart. Right. So I'm excited to have her a part of the show. One mission we have here on the Let's Get Comfy podcast is provide knowledge and resources. There are so many factors of healthcare. There's so many factors of advocacy out in the world today. And we're bringing that to you here on our platform. And I thank you for joining us and tuning in and supporting the podcast. Now, we're on for a journey today with Ms. Brown. And we're first going to start with the military. And I always love when I see the military because I be thinking like, I love war movies, but Ms. Brown already told me before the show, no, man, I don't have no war stories, but it's okay. You served 8 honorable years in the U.S. Air Force, as we indicated. Yeah. Can you take us back to the moment that you decide to enlist?
So I was going to college, and I was sitting at the back of a college classroom, and for whatever reason, I was like, if this doesn't work out, I think I need a backing, right? I need a secondary. For whatever reason, the military came to my head. I don't come from a heavy military family. Both my grandfathers served, one in the Navy, one in the Army. But other than myself, right, I never, I was the only one to go into the armed forces. So I will say that's something that I'm very proud about. I think that also speaks to my character, and being a female on top of that,
Mm-hmm.
it just means a little bit more to me.
It does.
So again, it was just it was never a thought until it became one. I took action on that, joined United States Air Force, and I think it was the best decision that I had ever made. Right, I grew up in a very small town, and that was something that we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're both Florida natives.
Quincy, Florida, baby.
Yeah, hey. So
Yes,
I'm originally
County.
from Ocala, and he's from, where are you from again?
Quincy, Florida.
Wait.
Quincy, Florida, outside of Tallahassee. I always
There
have
you
to say
go.
that. 15 minutes from outside of Tallahassee, we Gaston County. We are from a Black American standpoint. We're per capita. We have the most Black Americans per capita in the county, any county in the state.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you know, I'm country living over there.
Very country.
Well,
too.
everybody thinks I own horses. When they hear Ocala, like, yeah, I've gone through there. You know, I
Yeah.
go through that. I love Ocala. I'm like, are we talking about the same place? Or,
I thought Ocala
you know,
was like a retirement area. Isn't
well, the
that?
Villages
The
area
Villages,
is, and that's
okay.
what everybody really knows it for. But
Mhm.
Ocala specifically, horses, and so everybody thinks I own a horse. Just like it's this weird concept that people think that when you're in the Air Force that you automatically flew a plane. And I get it.
I definitely thought that too about you. I'm like, I wonder if she know how to fly too.
And this is why one of the things, right, that we do now is military culture education, to show that there's such an array of different jobs that one withholds within the military service.
So talk about it. What did you do? How was your experience in the U.S. Air Force? Tell me about that.
Well, you can't take the good without the bad, right?
I want to hear both.
I'm from a small town. So there had to be something more to life than this. My parents were paying for college education, and I felt like I could take that on myself. And I had the opportunity to seize that, and I took it. So off I went, and I got to travel the world. My first duty station was at Spain-Dahlem. So I was in Germany for a few years.
What's the city again?
Spain-Dahlem, Germany.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
I'll
I
let
went
you
overseas.
pronounce that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was great because I got to travel Europe and just see things that I've never been exposed to.
Mhm.
So not only just architecture, but history and different cultures.
That's really good.
Right. And even talking about culture, right? Military is a culture in and of itself. It's so diverse, from the people to the backgrounds and where they come from. It's just a whole different experience, and it makes you see life and other people through the lens of that. So your perspective is able to change.
So favorite intriguing culture that you, during your travels, you say?
Man, I traveled all over. I think one of my favorite trips was to Athens, was to Greece.
Athens, Greece.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the food over there? What they eat over there?
Well, you got to be willing to explore a little bit out of your comfort zone. But there's some for, hey, listen, you don't have to go
Burger
too
King
far.
over there.
Yes, they have all of that over there.
Really, Burger King too?
Listen, I ate Burger King before I got here.
I know
how much people believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't eat Burger King like that. But they do have some familiar items over there. But I would always, one of the things that I would do is every time I would travel to a different country, I would get a shot glass. I would get a shot glass and I would get a postcard, but I would try to eat one of their traditional meals of the country, just to experience it in a different way. So it was awesome. It was great. From there, I went to Korea. I went to Osan. That's a controlled tour. So work hard, play hard up there. That was an awesome, an amazing experience, because I've always worked with F-16s and A-10s. So with the fighter jets, and eventually made my way back to Florida, over at Herberfield, which is AFSOC Special Operations Command.
Okay.
And that was something very different as well, right? So this is very high ops tempo, always on the go. But I found myself kind of reaching a cross point, right, with and I know you're kind of get into this a little bit later. I am a veteran, but I'm a former spouse of a combat veteran as well. Okay. So at that time, when he came back from his last deployment, I could tell things were not the same. And he said, "Hey, listen, I just need time to get readjusted, right? I just need to go through that." I said, "No problem. Do what you got to do. If not, you need to go seek some help." But unfortunately, this is what kind of unfolded, right, in the space of suicide, where I had otherwise found myself, right, being that caretaker, right, by being or feeling the feelings of what about me not getting the information that I need to be successful for him?
Wow.
Right? The tools, the knowledge, because oftentimes, again, I've been on both sides of the
Both
playing
sides,
field,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The desperation of wanting to help somebody that can't see beyond hopelessness
Wow.
is a difficult task.
How's that relationship now? Like,
well, I've done it with a child, I've done it without a child.
Okay.
Right? So it's a heavy topic, but it's in reality a real life thing. And so many people go through it, right?
Yeah.
Veteran suicide is 2.5 times higher just here in the state of Florida than non-veteran suicide. But I can only imagine how many times people also feel that burden and heaviness of wanting to help other loved ones see beyond their pain.
Got it.
And that's really kind of what that experience, and again, that experience, right, is kind of what led me into the space of veteran suicide prevention.
Right.
We always often ask these questions of why me? Why me? Why did I go through this? Why did this? And it's never really revealed until afterwards.
Right.
Where 75% of people use at least one social media platform. Engaging content can help your home care agency connect with families seeking compassionate care. Give us a call at Comfort Measures Consulting.
What's one of your most powerful memories and when it relates to advocacy?
In my job now?
Your job now with the Fire Watch.
So if I'm being honest, I don't think there's one specific moment. I only did a small touch point of what led me in my own personal journey into veteran suicide prevention.
Okay.
Right? It's because I have that lived experience. So I use that pain of that struggle and put it into purpose.
Understood.
The test is the testimony, right? And this is what allows me the ability and success to operate in the space in which I do, because I've been there. And I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like. It's not pretty, right? It's broken. It's ugly, but it's real. And it happens all day, every day. So this is part of, to answer your question, my ministry.
Right.
With every conversation I have, whether it be a podcast, whether I go network, whether I'm briefing, this is my ministry.
Right.
So every single one is part of that combined. And it just allows me to continue to keep doing what I'm doing in that capacity.
Right.
So it's not a one-time thing, it's an every time thing for me.
Time.
And I have to, because it allows me and it reminds me not only of my own personal journey, but the journey of so many, and also those who are not with us today.
Right.
So it allows me to stay very humble.
Right. So
and
we
keep that in mind.
Right. So we understand the purpose of what you do currently with the Fire Watch, but if you would get more detailed of what your role is as program director, like your functions of your job, some of the events that you attend, some of the advocacy, that you guys display as well.
So at least let me tell the audience. So the Fire Watch is Florida's fight against or to prevent veteran suicide. So we are two things. We are a prevention program, but we're also a community-based program. So the approach that we're taking, right, is no other approach that another nonprofit is taking to go out into the community to first not only show the data for veteran suicide here in the state of Florida, both on a statewide and local level, but we're teaching individuals about military culture education.
Okay.
And then on top of that, we're also kind of folding in the suicide prevention piece, which is based on the SAVE initiative, SAVE. So it stands for Signs, Ask, Validate, and then Encourage and Expedite Help, right? We want to encourage, engage, and equip all individuals, whether you are active duty, guard, reserve, or veterans, or somebody who knows a military veteran or just cares about military veterans, right? To understand what are the signs of suicide, what are the myths about suicide, being able to have the confidence to ask the question if they see the signs, but more importantly, some statewide resources that they can connect veterans to before, right? We said that earlier, before they slip into crisis, which is the key word, right? So that's the most important key about what we're doing. But specifically for me, so we were founded in 2019 up in the Northeast Florida area of Jacksonville.
Okay.
And when the Florida Department of Veteran Affairs saw what we were doing, we went statewide. So it was originally designed because anybody can go to the firewatch.org and they can take the training online for free, right?
Thefirewatch.org.
www.thefirewatch.org.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's free. What's that commercial? Free.
Free.
Let it stick.
Yeah.
Okay, let it stick. Associate it, whatever you got to do. But anybody can take it online free. And that's just because in 2019, right, was the height of COVID.
Yes.
So we wanted a way to enter into the homes of the people who were isolated at that time. So when COVID lifted and we went statewide in 2021, I was hired for the Central Florida Regional Program Director, and we have one for South Florida and again for Northeast Florida, but with the goal and intent in mind that we could go into any place of employment, business group, or organization and facilitate what we call watch standard training for them for free. Right, so standing watch or the fire watch. Can you tell a Marine coined this? Right, it's the fire watch. And you have to educate people exactly what that means, right? But they're standing watch and being vigilant to the concerns and needs of veterans that either they encounter or that are in their life, right? So we have the opportunity to facilitate that training to the mass group of people, and that's my primary role is the training. Of course, I'm a woman show at the time, so fingers crossed we get some help here pretty soon. But we are responsible for taking meetings, right? And one of our greatest, we're a 501c3, but the greatest currency that we ask for is always for people to take the training and share it with other friends and family members that they know, right? Yes. Or insert me into a place, because anybody could benefit from this training. It's an hour long and it's free. It doesn't cost anybody anything. I also am not trying to sell anybody anything either, right? It's a free service that we provide, but it's life-changing tools that somebody may need, whether they're in the workplace, and then it carries beyond the workplace.
Do you
right?
partner with like JROTC programs or anything like that at all?
So the one that we really have started to do initiation with is Florida National Guard.
Okay.
The Guard and Reserve are kind of in this weird sticky space where, active duty has primary resources for them, veterans have resources, but Reserve kind of doesn't have the same opportunities and availability and resources to them. But yeah, so Florida National Guard, to answer your question. But I'm outside, I'm networking all the time.
You heard what she said. She said she outside.
In a good way. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, thank you for that. I appreciate that, because one of the things that I laugh all the time, but if you looked at my LinkedIn.
I'm sorry to cut you off. 1 second. So that sound there was our comfy comedy moment. So I know you were on the roll, but we have to take a break right now because I want to see you smile even more. All right.
Okay.
Now for our comfy comedy moment, I always say we coin the show as Florida's #1 entertainment station. So I try to incorporate entertainment. Okay. All right. So this moment here, I'm going to be asking you I'm going to give you two options, two individuals, right? They are celebrities. You would choose them based on how you feel, whether you like them or not.
Okay.
Right. You would date them or not. It's all your choice in your brain. Okay. All right. And I like to start with the controversy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm going to do Will Smith.
You guys want to hear my opinion?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Will Smith and Chris Rock. Are those two, from an acting standpoint, which one would you prefer?
Acting?
Yes.
I might go with my boy Will.
Will Smith, okay. All right, Denzel Washington and Will Smith.
Denzel all day.
Denzel all day. Okay. Who's your favorite actor? If you had to choose somebody. You don't know?
I don't know. Honestly, I would say Denzel and Mark Wahlberg. I think those are the two people I would say that never make a movie that I have not liked.
Yeah, my wife like Wahlberg. She's
But
approving behind the
yeah,
camera.
and I see her. So for
Yeah.
those who can't see behind the camera, she's over there like,
Yeah.
thank you. So you're welcome for throwing that out there. But
Yeah.
honestly, I don't have one specific favorite, but those two have never made a bad movie in my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's all subjective.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Favorite-
but they're listen, they're smooth. And Denzel smooth.
So, what's your favorite Denzel movie? If you had to name one.
Everybody likes Training Day.
I was thinking that right in my head. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's just everybody likes Training Day.
Yeah, because I like to see him in the bad guy role too. Like, it's pretty dope.
Both of them play bad guys, but in all reality, at the end of the day, they're both men of God.
Yes, they are.
Mighty
men of God.
And that just makes them even more better as just people, people to me, and how I view them. And like, yeah, I could spend $1,000 now to go to the movie theater to see a movie.
Right.
I would do that.
You could do that.
Because it's not expensive, right?
No, I don't know. That's on you.
I
ain't spent no $1,000 on him.
But you know what I mean. Like, it's so expensive now to go to the movies, but
you know, my family called me El Cheapo, so yeah, that ain't me. But anywho, I have another person. I'm in another section.
Okay.
Artists. Favorite gospel artist. Yeah.
Oh,
favorite gospel artist.
See, now you're just hurting my heart, and I'm feeling kind of hopeless, but I'm okay. Everybody out there. Mm-hmm. The one that's on repeat every day when I come home is Yolanda Adams.
Yolanda Adams. Okay. I think for me, mine would probably be. He passed away recently too. Rance Allen. Yep. He would be my fan. I know that's real old school, but I'm country, so. Yeah,
it's got to be Yolanda. Yes. So I would say, because you asked me a question, right? What's my favorite genre of music?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm always gonna go with Christian and gospel first.
Christian and gospel.
I love to worship. R&B.
R&B,
my heart and soul, but you can see it in everything I do. I'm such a passionate person.
So you like to sing in the car?
It comes out in everything.
Right.
Say that again.
So you like to?
I can listen to some other things, but we'll keep that for another Lord's Day.
Yeah, yes. I know it is Sunday too. Golly. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Brown, for joining, participating. I say in our comedy moment. We like to add a little flavor.
Hello, I'm Norman Harris, owner and CEO of Comfort Measures Consulting. We are a healthcare resource platform that specializes in business development for independently, privately owned healthcare organizations. Let's partner together to support your business growth through strategic digital marketing and community engagement. You can DM us, call us, text me. I'm here for you. We're ready to serve you. Thank you.
What's your favorite hobby to do?
Oof. I'm a Florida girl, and I'm a July baby. Pool all day.
Pool,
right? I need to have the sun, and I need to have the water. And you put me out there, and I'm happy. I'm as happy as can be. That's one of my favorite things to do. So always outside. I enjoy working out. That's another kind of right. The sun is my element. I
don't like the sun at all. And I sweat real easy.
I'm trying to catch up, but I need a little color on my skin. Just to kind of balance things out.
Yeah,
sometimes.
So you're trying to alleviate your tanning bill. I see.
Exactly.
Miss Brett, but I have to say, like, with the sun, I don't know. I get like sunburn a lot on my head.
Wear a hat.
I'm bald too.
Wear a hat.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
Yeah, that's true.
That was simple, right?
I just don't like being hot for one. I think the heat brings out the negative part, like the attitudes in people. Yeah, the heat brings out attitudes. Like I feel like if you're cooler, if you're cold, you tend to be more what? Chill cool type of person. When you hot and somebody make you upset, your temper is gonna flare out real quick.
Listen,
that's the truth.
Listen, it doesn't matter the temperature. I go from 0 to 100
real quick.
It doesn't really matter what the temperature is for me. But if that's what it is for you, I fully support you with that. You know what I mean? But I got the Florida blood, so it doesn't really matter because I've been in Florida, right? And I went to Germany, I went to Korea, No, cold it is. I hate the cold.
Yeah.
I absolutely
I never
hate
been,
it.
so I couldn't tell you.
I hate it.
All I know is really.
So go over there and then tell me if you have that
About-
same theory when you return, when you come back.
Yeah.
Let me know if you have that same
Same
theory.
theory.
But yes, so
But
to
that's
answer your
actually
question,
going to the next question goes to describe your personality too.
I mean, I think people can see some of that.
Yeah, that's what I was
do. I
thinking
think
too.
I'm very much. I think the one word. If I had to describe myself in one word, a lot of people say very disciplined.
Very disciplined. Okay.
But
yeah, because you
also,
made sure you was like, hey, one thing I hate, I don't like people not on time. I was like, okay, well, I gotta make sure I'm on time with her because she gonna put up a post like, yeah, Norman platform, he was late. But no, I was just playing.
So I'm still operating off of, right, if you're on time, you're late. If you're right,
Yeah,
if you're on time, you're late. But if you're early, you're on time.
It's respectful.
But also at the same time, yes, it's respecting people's time.
For sure.
Time is currency. That's one thing you can't get back. But that's just a pet peeve of mine, right? What was the other question that you asked me?
You describe your personality.
Very down to earth.
I agree with that.
I would say very down to earth, very non-judgmental. I consider myself, it's almost like a chameleon.
I believe.
Right. I'm able to kind of mold into whatever environment I am because I read the audience and I'm able to read the room. And this is the same for briefings, right? Because sometimes I will get all of like a group of all veterans. Sometimes I have all civilians. Sometimes I have a cross collaboration between the two. It's just, again, it's knowing how to read your audience and no matter what setting you're in, and just always be you, authentically and unapologetically you. And I don't, sometimes we have to enter networking spaces where maybe we feel like we don't belong, maybe where we feel like we don't fit. I'm typically the youngest one in the room. I'll take it. I'm happy with the late 30s here. Hey, I'm getting ready to turn 38. But you have to be able to be willing to step out and go out into those uncomfortable places, whether you feel like you don't belong or not. Because at the end of the day, what I always remind myself is that, remember, this is a calling. So even when I don't feel equipped, he always inserts me into the places and in front of the people, the right people, to say what I need to say and to do what I need to do. Amen. At the end of the day. Right? I'm gonna take you out to church today because
you did.
But again, remember I told you this is my ministry, so I always have to make sure that I remind that, regardless of what branch I was in, regardless of what my rank was, job, anything like that, if I let that impose on my thoughts of me being equipped, because somebody has to do what I'm doing, right? And if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, right? And my goal and my heart is to do that. I want to be part of the solution in some way. You really and I'm only one piece of the puzzle, right?
But big piece though. Big Brown.
Listen, if I could take a big step, I would. But this is also what our watchmakers are doing too. Yeah. Because they're a piece of the puzzle too. They're standing in this gap, right? Because if veterans were to do it themselves, we can't. We can't do it all themselves. And we also recognize that we need everybody. And that takes a community. And we are in the community, right? And we want everybody to be involved. And this is another way, by taking the training, that they can help stand in that gap to fulfill the need, not only for themselves, right? Because the information and the knowledge is universal. The science don't change, the myth doesn't change, none of this changes. So it's really applicable to anybody, just within the dynamic of the organization. We just choose to focus on veteran suicide just because the percentage rate is a little bit higher than non-veterans.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, and I'm sticking with you, right? Focusing on who you are, Miss Brown, as a person, Miss Brianne, right? Your top 3 values. What would you say top 3 values right now in life for you?
Because they change season to season. I would say right now, empowerment.
For who? You?
It could be for me. It could be for anybody. It doesn't really matter.
Empowerment.
Right? I would say empowerment, resiliency. right? Because life is going to impose challenges on you, and you have to learn your way.
Yeah, you seem like a go-getter for sure. You do, yeah.
Right? But we struggle and we hold on. It doesn't mean I don't. But if I don't have some tools and I don't have that support system, man, we all fall in a hole.
Yeah.
Right?
I always say there's no such thing as a self-made success story. You have to have help. Have to.
Yeah. But that's the way we were designed.
Yes.
Is to have a helper. That's why your wife is doing it, right? No matter what, we're social creatures, but we were designed to be, right, this social reintegration piece where we are together and where we're community and fellowship and where we grow and where we support. Because you know what they say, healing happens in community. It doesn't happen alone.
No.
In isolation. Healing happens in community.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to open yourself up and be part of that community. But it's one thing to give, and this is my third one, it's another to receive. I need to learn how to receive.
How to receive.
Yeah. Because when you're pouring so much into people and encouraging people, right, I'm so used to being a giver. I'm not so good at receiving as much the same in return.
Gotcha.
So when it comes my way, it's so very important in order to also stay fulfilled that I'm able to both give and receive.
Gotcha. So if I would try to give you $1,000 right now, you'd be like, no, Norman, I don't know how to receive that. Right? You saying?
I said I was learning something. That's a good thing.
I'm messing with you.
I'm learning.
That was a joke.
But here's the posture, right? In all seriousness aside, right? I heard this not too long ago, and I love it, right? So when we have a posture of our hands being closed, which in the past I hold on to things too tight sometimes.
Yeah.
But if I change my posture in a form of keeping my palms open, it allows me to let go of what is not for me, but it also allows me to receive what is. So my hands cannot be, I can't. This is also a sign of surrender too. So keep that in mind.
That's how you do that in church, huh? Yeah.
Let me drop
the mic. That was good. That was good.
But I think I would say that's my third one.
That's a good one. That's
both
good.
Giving and receiving.
Yeah, I could tell you you definitely destined for keynote speaking. You know that? So
and you want to know something? Don't tell anybody out there. I get nervous every time I speak in like group settings. I get very nervous.
Yeah.
People are like, I can't tell. I'm like, I can.
Yeah.
But again, this is where my mindset goes to always remember that I'm not doing what I'm doing for myself.
Right.
It's for all the other people who need it. So I always tell myself for the greater good. So whether it's a podcast interview, whether it's a news interview, whether it's a briefing, whether it's, again, going into these networking places with just meeting so many people, this is kind of where I always say bringing this for the greater good. And it allows me to press on, you carry on and just keep moving. And there's not been one time that I ever have said, I regret doing that. Not one time.
No one time. At Comfort Measures Consulting, we're here to help you navigate the complexity of healthcare. If you're caring for a loved one as a caregiver, you don't have resources, you don't know what questions to ask, you need to have options, right? Give Comfort Measures a call. Give us a chance. First consultation is free. Speak with me, Comfort Measures Consultant, 850-879-2182. You can also visit our website at www.comfortmeasuresconsulting.com. Talk to you soon. Whole health.
Whole health.
Not just a buzzword for you. What does true whole health look like for veterans, and where are we still falling short with whole health?
So I have worked in a space. I worked for a nonprofit for about 2 years, and they took a holistic approach to whole health, right? So this is addressing your psychological, social, spiritual, and physical components. Okay. So you have, and even in the military, they're very big on this, right? This is what makes up you like a chair, right? You're sitting on the chair, it's like balance. Okay. So you have these 4 domains. And when you're talking about treatment and care in a holistic realm, 1, you have to be ready, willing, and able. Okay. 2, it's going to feel uncomfortable doing some of the things that holistic, whether it's, I don't care if it's yoga, I've seen some of the, most elite operators doing yoga, right? This is just an example, but what I'm saying is they have to be willing to get out of their head to try this. It's like eating the fish. You eat the fish, you spit out the bones. You have to be willing to try anything in order to see what works for you.
Yes.
Right? That's the first thing. Another thing is, in the dynamic of these 4 domains, it's so important to make sure that you're able to recognize which area you need the most. People talk about balance in these 4 areas, and it's not an equal slice of the pie. You're not going to have them all equally, right? In some seasons or areas of life, one is going to be more than the other, right? So it's important to not only recognize that, but let's just take, for example, right? Hey, I need some social reintegration. So you get into community. Mental health is absolutely necessary, right? Maybe medication, treatment, care, mental health, but it's so important that you're not treating the wrong symptom with the wrong treatment. So I see so many times, right, where maybe mental health is overlapping the spiritual component, where they're trying to take care of a soul issue with mental health, right? So, and I know the VA has started to recognize this spiritual component as moral injury, which is more so like a blunt force trauma to the soul. But you can't treat something with mental health for a soul issue, right? So it's so important to recognize that, because they say hope deferred, which is the number 1 sign of suicide, makes the heart sick, not the mind sick, the body sick. These are consequences and effects of what's happening. But I was in a briefing the other day, and I tell people, I'm like, what's fascinating is you could walk into a room and there's so much pain sitting right in front of you with all the people that are sitting there, and you would never know, because you can't see them wearing it, because it's all internal and they're literally dying inside, right? Yeah. So again, I would say with a holistic approach to whole health, I think that's some areas where I'm not gonna say we're getting it wrong, but just maybe to be a little bit more conscious of. Gotcha. Make sure that you're feeding all components and understand they're not going to all be equal.
But that takes a special person to be able to allow one to recognize that, okay, this person that's smiling and all happy still is living with internal issues. How do you get people comfortable with just even, I guess, opening up to you or using the resources? Because people know things are there, but they won't even reach out to.
And this is why we teach people to ask the question if they see the signs. There are some areas where that becomes very gray. And remember, I'm also speaking out of my own experience. I'm not a mental health expert. I minored in psychology, but I'm not a mental health expert, right? I'm not a social worker, but I'm a veteran, and I'm an advocate for preventing veteran suicide. So I always like to say I'm the good steward that goes into the community to give them the information and tools that they need, right? I put it into their hands. But there's a lot of gray areas when it comes to the signs, but it's encouraging that piece to ask the question, right? And I would rather ask the question, right, than not ask. Even if it's a no answer, that's great. At least I know the answer is no. And maybe they just need some additional support. Could be peer support, could be resources, whatever they need. You would have to discern based on that veteran specific need, or I've received a yes answer. Again, either way, asking the question is going to know which direction you need to point this individual. Okay. Do they need a resource? Do they need more intensive treatment or care? Or what is it that they need? Sometimes it's just simply as going to the source and say, what do you need?
What do you need?
How can I help? What do you need? Because what you need in order to balance you back out within this holistic approach is going to be something very different. than what I need to feel like I need some sort of grounding or balance
So,
at the same time.
well, speaking of that, what are some things that you say are often overlooked that, from a behavioral standpoint, there are some red flags that a spouse or a family member could recognize in their loved one that's a veteran that be dealing with it, that can put on that mask, so that you're saying, let's think everything is all good, you know?
Been there, done that, right? And when I tell you I lived with that, he was good. I had no clue. I had zero clue. And I was part of the plan, right? And I was part of the plan, a part of a plan that I didn't even know I was part of, right? How do you? Sometimes you just don't. Now, I like I said, I knew something was wrong because you can tell when they're off on behavior. You can not hold them to an accountability perspective, but at least with the confrontation of saying, hey, I noticed something's different. Like, how can I best support you? How can I best help you? Right? You have to be willing to communicate, but remember, there's only so much that people can do.
There's only so much you can do.
There really is. And that's the other piece, because I thought in my mind, not dealing with this arena or area of suicide, that was it not enough that somebody loves you? Was it not enough that you know what I mean? That you have a child? Is this not a motivating factor? And again, it goes back to that hopelessness where people are wearing this veil that they see it, but they can't see beyond it. And it's a misconcept that we can kind of hold people to, that we kind of don't have that right to hold them to, because we can only do so much. Now you can do your part, because we all have a part to play in suicide prevention in some way. But that would be my answer to you.
Got it. That's a great answer.
Yeah,
as always. So you were able to bridge from military to back to civilian life. What was some of the, I guess, if you could just name just one thing that really assisted you with making sure that you utilize resources? I know some things is internal, right? You seem like a very driven person. You're a go-getter. But let's just name something that you did to say, hey, I'm transitioning back over civilian life. I may have trauma, or you've seen or know people that have trauma. What's one advice you say?
Yeah, build a safety care plan. Make sure you build a safety care plan. Resources, places you can go, specific people you can call, and your who, your what, your where, your why, whatever that is for you.
Yes.
Because what ends up happening, let me give you one piece. The safety care plan is such a great prevention tool, but it's only as good as it is if you utilize it.
You have to apply it.
You have to implement it.
Have to.
Right? So oftentimes we might have one, but if you see that you're starting to go down this path, people are not utilizing it when they see it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's the first step outside of a place where you're like, uh-oh, something's happening here. Tackle it immediately. Right? So go after it immediately. So safety care plan is one of my biggest, I would say, as a prevention tool, because we often have the misconception that we are alone.
Yes, yeah.
And in some of my briefings, I will ask, hey, listen, within this audience just alone, who of you in here would be willing to sacrifice your time, right? Because the goal is that you have to sacrifice your time, but you have to see it through. You have to see people through to where they need to go, because they're there to connect, not to counsel. But you give that warm handoff to the subject matter professional. You have to see it through. But when people see all of the other folks in this room who are willing to sacrifice their time, so whether or not they speak it out, I tell them I just debunked your theory, okay? Because there's a whole room of people right here, right now. So if you think you are, make sure that you connect with that person, right, before you leave, to make sure that you have a battle buddy, a wingman,
right?
Your wingman. Otherwise, I tell them I'll be a wingman anytime. But people think that they're often alone. And when it comes to this idea, and something that I know we have limited time here, I was reflecting off of a briefing that I did recently, and we're talking about the rate of veteran suicide to non-veteran suicide, and I'm like, why is it so high, right? Because I don't like to assume and speculate, and there's so many different veterans with so many different veteran specific issues, and they might have, again, if they did a study, the parallels, right? Mental health is number one, social reintegration is this one, thoughts, perception, whatever it is at the same time. And it sounds very different to the average person, but our mindset and motto is to solve the problem and eliminate the threat. So no matter what we're doing within the job or every task that we have after that, this is still something that's ingrained and embedded in how we live and how we approach situations in the world. So much so that if we see ourselves as the problem, that we would be willing to even eliminate ourselves.
Yeah, but how many people? That's the problem.
It's deep.
Yeah, I was about to say that's deep, because how many people
very
gonna see
deep.
themselves as the problem? But going into what's next for you, I did want to ask you, is looking ahead, if you had unlimited resources to build your dream program for veterans, what would it include? And like you said, solving problems. What problem would it solve? Your dream program.
My dream program? Man, I've never thought about that. I'm so good at helping visionaries like yourself, right?
Yeah, you called me she called me Squirrel Brain too.
Yeah,
It's true,
it was
though.
a ping ping. Like I thought it was going back and forth in my head. I
did.
think went like this a couple different times. Because I'm not the visionary. I'm naturally gifted at putting things together for the visionary. I'm the boots on the ground. Like I thrive in building that up, and then hitting that off, laying that foundation, right? But I don't know. That's a really good question. I think that's something that I have to think about more.
Yeah.
Really not something that I thought of, because I don't think of myself doing my own particular thing.
You find being on the supporting cast. It's hard to find people like that. A lot of people want to be in the spotlight, be the center of attention, be the one on the stage.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you that question. If you ever had like that vision of, building something of your own, if you had that option to do that, but
God hasn't laid that on my heart yet. Yep. Until then, I'm just gonna keep that servant's heart, and just kind of keep chugging along forward with what I'm doing. Just keep chugging along forward.
Any plans for the future, just for Miss Brianne Brown? Just for you. I know we have the Fire Watch. We talk about the wonderful things that you guys offer, resources as well. But just for you, career-wise, professionally, personally, what do you say next for you?
I was at church today, and Ron Goldman was our guest speaker. And I absolutely fell in love with what he said today. He said, I think I'm the only one who goes on not setting goals, because goals are temporary and they have an expiration date. And God is in control of every season of your life, and it's constantly changing. So while yes, you can set goals. Where would you like to see yourself? And I can see what I would like for myself.
Okay.
But without it, it does have an expiration date. So I would say...
You believe that too, though? Because I believe in...
I just want to continue to thrive, to be the best version of myself, no matter what season. And I'll use that as my goal, because I'm already a type A personality. Send help for me quick. As long as I can continue to strive to be the best version of myself, no matter the season of which I'm in, that can still be my ultimate goal. So it can be both professionally and personally, as long as I'm growing.
As long as you're growing.
Right? As long as I'm growing, I'm okay with that. That I can be content with, right? Yeah. Comfort and contentment is two totally different things. But I think I can be content with that.
Right. And our last question for today, for our show as we wrap up, why did you decide to wear red today?
the Firewatch, baby.
Because of Frontlines.
we have the lapel pin.
Yeah, she got the lapel.
Listen, sometimes you don't just play the part.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to dress the part.
Yeah, I see the shoes and everything.
And when you come in, people won't even know. They'll just be like, you know what, you look the part. Come on in and have a seat.
That's what they tell me all the time.
And I just have a seat.
I get in everywhere.
Right?
No, I don't.
But it's very inviting. So that's why I wore red today. Firewatch representing.
Okay. And as we close, we thank you, comfy listeners. But I wanted to, Ms. Brown, if you would please share with our comfy supporters out there that may have families and loved ones that can benefit from the resource that you shared today. As we end the segment here, if you just share a website where they can also find you, your professional site as well.
Yep.
Please.
So www.thefirewatch.org is the website. If you are an individual and you want to take the training, it's right there on the website as well. Just hit the Get Started tab. We have a data tab if you're interested. If you're one of the data gurus, you can go on there and look at that as well. And then there's information for our Veteran Safe Place program. So again, that I go into any place of employment, business group, or organization, as long as you're in the Central Florida region. But if you're anywhere in the state of Florida, go on there, look at our team. We have 3 other RPDs that cover the state. So get in touch with them. But my information is on there as well. And I'm on LinkedIn as well.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us and the wonderful Miss Brianne Brown, taking time with us to share wonderful information regarding veteran suicide prevention, her wonderful advocacy efforts, her resiliency, sharing her story and journey as well. I'm so happy to have her here and share time with us. Again, this is a platform that's dedicated to providing knowledge and resources, and that's what she did today, being open and honest. She told me the difference today, actually, between transparency and honesty. She told me the definition of that too. But that's another story. But thank you for joining us. Let's Get Comfy Podcast. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell as we upload different content or segments from each show as well. Stay tuned. Check out our website at www.comfortmeasuresconsulting.com. We just added services to support independently owned healthcare organizations, build their digital footprint, but also increase their patient leads as well. So we're growing as Comfort Measures Consulting. We're also growing as a platform and the Let's Get Comfy podcast because of you. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. So I killed that.
Please visit comfortmeasuresconsulting.com. We are here to support you and your loved ones.
Thank you. Thank you.